Hello, sir. Please confirm you can hear me. Good morning, Mr. Amos. Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, yeah, good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Yes.
How are you? How did you?
Apologies. Um, let me get the other stakeholders to join.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Apologies.
All right then.
Let me also turn on my video so that you
Oh,
can put a face.
great,
Since I
great,
can
great.
see your face now, you can
Excellent.
put a face to the
Excellent.
monitor. Let me
Oh,
just
very
quickly
well. Oh, very well.
engage
Yeah.
other stakeholders. Yes, sir.
You know, this when the digital age makes us as photogenic as possible.
Thank you, sir. A minute, sir. Let me quickly check
No
whether this.
problem. No problem.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I will just this. Password. Okay, I don't know, but let me just see. I shouldn't ask though, but then let me confirm. Uh, Copy invitation. Let me copy everything. You understand? And paste. So drop it on the phone, my own phone too. Sharp, sharp. Okay. Okay.
Elements required in a smart city. Two things: electricity, constant electricity, and high-speed internet.
In a smart city, the goal is to address growing urbanization challenges with a digital framework. The framework is an intelligent network of connected objects and machines that transmit data using wireless technology and the cloud.
A village with electricity and high-speed internet is already smart.
Smart cities can improve energy distribution, streamline trash collection, decrease traffic congestion, and even improve air quality with help from the Internet of Things.
The right leadership with the right vision, I think, can be able to deliver and change some of our cities to smart cities.
Programos Foundation is today a major advocate for the development of smart and connected communities and cities in Nigeria. The COVID-19 pandemic.
Good morning, all. Good morning, all.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Sorry, we're having some little rain by us here, so I just hope we don't have rains at the other end. Great. Good morning, sir. My name is Amos Emmanuel. I work for Programmer Software Limited. Programmer Software is well, I wouldn't say we've been the pioneers in the capital markets long before now, and then we just go gradually since inception of the markets, and we're still there defending the capital markets. I'm particularly very, very happy to have this opportunity to work or relate with the WSTC, which for me is a name that has also been as pioneering as the time we also commenced way back in the 97 when the market just faced this automation. Maybe just a little more background. I will just share what we do and where the company is. You just permit me to call on some environments to share. That we, as a group, the software company, we have the corporate social responsibility arm of programmers that we have used to incubate innovators from the country, because I happen to be the UN World Summit Awards National Expert for Nigeria. And this is a voluntary nomination capacity by the United Nations. And I've been doing this free for the country for about 16 years. And I'm sure if you have some time on this portal at innovationbedi.africa, you'll be able to see what we have done. But then for what relates for the business of today, which is the business side of what we do in the capital markets, I might just go to the programmers group. Other stories of what we do are just mere interventions, but then for what we do in the group, Programmer Software actually is the founder of the foundation, and that is with global as well as startups and other innovators within the country. Someone is demanding something. Okay, right, and that Programmer Software is actually has this level of affiliations within the IT industry. And of course, the computing, the fixed trading communities in Africa, particularly, there's a formation of that is actually being given some membership across myself, the exchange, and the rest of them. And of course, we've also been valid ISVs since the beginning of the capital markets, and other collaborations we also mentioned here, as can be found, can be seen there. And I think towards in here, the executive teams are more of some internal people who at one time or the other, they've done their different stuff at different places. And the luck we have is that they are all my offsprings, and we're able to put so many things together and consolidate as we go with different people's business interests. And here are the clientele in terms of people that we have supported. And I think even some of the oldest customers, maybe like this year, they'll be marking like 27 years, 28 years in technical support service, because it's always been since the beginning of the market automation in 97, and so on and so forth. We have a long list of quite some of them. Before the OMS, we had well over 100 brokers in the market, and that was an African record. But then we actually had some, some demeaning impact in the labor market, of course, recruiting IT people in software organizations, and we also see what happens. So we actually had some attacks that we had to go back and get some products out again, and we're happy that even all the customers, or majority of those we lost, were all back. Okay, somebody's hand is up. Please can go ahead, sir.
So, well done, sir. I don't know, maybe when you are done, I can do some introduction from our side too.
Excellent, excellent. I'll just wrap it up here. Oh, very well, okay, yes. Sir. I'll just take that. So just to introduce the company, our clients, and that from this point, what we are doing in here is that most of these clients, their customers may want to be able to come here and they can start their transactions right away, because some of these web portal links and all that are directly what their customers can directly use. And since we now have a mobile app, the mobile app is also something that their Google Play store links would be available, whether on the Play Store, Google Play Store, or iOS and all of that. And that's why we've just simplified a simple channel here. And the sole client we have in Ghana is the SBG Securities by Stanbic Bank. and they've been very old. They are currently almost 14 years. They started the system since the formation of SBG Securities by Stanbic in Ghana. And it was Stanbic Bank in Nigeria here that gave us that business. And we lost Stanbic Bank because of the piracy in Nigeria. And of course, we are recovering Nigeria back, as it were. But then our Ghana is still there. So a whole lot of others, and we have a certification portal that we also use this for, and quite a couple of other things. And in terms of solutions, we have the modules of all what is available there, which is the real essence that we want to get into, and we'll be able to do more from here. So maybe I'll just take introduction from internal. Sorry for the time taking. Okay, Mr. Lagdon.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Amos. I do appreciate your introduction. So on this call with me, like we shared a brief of a WSCC via email. I'm sure you must have familiarized yourself with that. So we have our Chief Information Security Officer, who also deals as the head of the technology team, Mr. Olusegun Ajayi on this call. We have the managing director of our securities arm of the business, that's WSCC Securities, Mr. Afelu Moludayo. Also, we have Mr. Obi Omoemovo, who also works with the IT team, and myself, I work with the IT team. We'll be expecting to see the application, probably both CloudFix and the other one I'm trying to CloudIntegra, yes. So we'll see how it fits into our own processes. Like we disclosed on the email, we currently have a software that we are using, but we intend to move to another software vendor. So I think you have the floor now to show the application. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Please let me just try to reconnect to my VPN to enable me to do some work. 1 minute, please. Thanks for the introduction anyway. I appreciate it. Let me go here. Okay. Okay. I need a pin. Pin. 138 839. Okay. Right. Do this. Okay. Right. So, okay, I want to now get the application on, just to share with you that the product is called CloudIntegra. That's the back office. Then we have the CI Fix Pro also integrated for the front end for the orders management system. So the back office, I would actually load and share with you what service we have on on it. And permit me to say that the project is 100% local, is Nigerian, and has always been Nigerian. And the code are all internally 100% managed, and that is why we're able to meet with any level of customization. And we will not say that we were saying 10 years ago or about 15 or 20 ago, but it has evolved with the market. So the chances we have now are that for the future of the market, there is a whole lot that is still ahead of this market, for which it's additions or customizations or what have you are already very simple, and it makes it a lot easier for additional things to be done, especially in this era of artificial intelligence, that quite a whole lot of other things are coming up. Okay, so I'm sure soon I'm loading the application directly from the source. I'm loading the application directly from the source. This is not like something running from a site, but it's just to let you know that we do not just, it's not just that we have a runtime that we trade. The runtimes are impacted from us and can change with any change in the market. Currently, some of the added or local things that are happening now is in the area of what the Securities and Exchange Commission is trying to do now, so that they can get their direct quarterly returns directly from your solutions. And that project is ongoing now, that we are implementing that, and it will be easy for them to get their information readily and timely, rather than have to wait for either daily, weekly, monthly, for which humans have not been able to perfect that rendition of reporting at that level. But after the automation, this will be possible that the regulators can directly be able to pick things as and when they need it, especially when you have done your homework and your data are complete for such integration. So that is something ahead of this market, which that process is already ongoing. So just permit the project to come on. And at the point of logon, of course, a staff of a company can log in, a client of a company can log in, and so on and so forth. And of course, maybe I'll just start from the area of administration to let you see that your internal security, you actually put up that design as it's best workable in your organization. One security that may have worked in one organization may not be imported to another because it may not just fit. So you actually can customize what security is best for your organization. And that is how you manage administration of the entire process. And you have well-documented audit trails for things that may have happened, and so on and so forth. That makes it a lot easier. That transparency makes the jobs not any more risky, at least between the humans working that we don't trust. That issue of trust is no longer there. If you are not to do a thing, you won't have it on your process, role process. If you are to do it, you obviously will have it. And if you have done it, and people will know. And that is that level of operation in the capital market today. So let me just await the project to load. Please. Come on. Right. And the way the application is also done is that when we get in there, each of the modules, depending on what modules is run in each organization, Each module has its user guide downloadable in each of the modules. So it's something that in terms of education, though we have like a central certification portal for users, at the same time, the guide is documented and is available for download at any time within the application. So these are some of the things that we've seen over time that could impede or rather to at least encourage and promote easy usage, which makes technical support obviously, of course, a lot more transparent and successful. We record more success level with more education to the team users. This is how it's been. Just permit me to, because I'm actually running from the scratch code. So a couple of things. Okay, sir, your hand, sir.
Good morning, sir, and well done.
Yes, sir.
I personally am agitated to see the application, and I appreciate the fact that you are running from the source code directly.
All right, sir. All right, sir.
But is there any available compiled version that we can start with, pending the time the one you are running comes up, so as to save time?
Okay. I know it will be up soon. It will be up soon, please. It will be up soon because the only things I may just have might just be live sites, which may not be too okay. Except that at one of the instances I may want to, maybe I should just go try that out first as a client. But then if that would just be like outside the order of what I wanted to just do, well, maybe we'll come back here and it would have been ready. Okay. Let me just try that out because, okay, first is that, like I said, as a staff user, I'm trying to get into the back office right now at the moment. And that back office could take this time, but then I'm a client somewhere and want to be able to, let me just start from that process so that we can understand how that works. So let me just initiate an access from somewhere. 1 minute, I'll just stop this briefly. I will come back to this because that would have loaded. By the time we are done and I'm back. Right, sorry for the time. Okay, sorry, just logged on. Okay, fine. So I'm actually a client somewhere, and I'm just logged in to my account live from NBC Securities, for instance. Now, at this point, I'm only able to, when I get in, be able to see what my portfolio is saying, what my balances are, and all that. And the NBC trader here is actually what takes me to the OMS. So under the OMS at this point, in fact, one of the reasons why this meeting was about this time was at least we'll be able to have market connectivity. And of course, at this point, one will be able to trade and all that. Currently, we have someone, I think a team of people are testing the mobile for MBC. And I think since last night, they've actually been putting some orders now and all that. So we have some orders, and from the order numbering, I can see the BM, the SM, BM, SM means that it's coming from the mobile channel. You know, if it were from the web, it wouldn't be the same. So that when brokers, as a client, you can buy, you can also sell, and you have the market view and your basic portfolio detail also shows here. So, and the way things work here is that as people trade, brokers trade or clients trade on their own, all transactions are executed real time, and it triggers all the accounting processes and automation that goes to show what your journals are done, because these are never done by any other parties anymore. All the accounting and all the journals are being done and put in the back office. And the journals for the day, the accountant can see them, can have them validated by the end of the day and authorize them into GL. And everything here just gets in sync day by day. So there's really no activity for man to do any much, because first the customer is trading. His activities in terms of whether he's buying, whether he's selling, is totally undertaken by the activities, by the exchange of transactions that happen. The transaction happens, and when you have trade actually executed transactions, like for instance, if I do, I have 8,000 naira, for instance, I want to do maybe access call. I want to do access call, and I want to pick the stock, and perhaps out of my 8,000, maybe even say that I want to spend only 5,000 naira, for instance. It tells me I can only buy 213 units of that, going by the current ongoing price. And once I do that and I log, it makes an attempt to book my order, and before you know it, the completion process will be that this order is being routed, it goes over to the exchange, it gets consummated if perhaps, and after consummation, contract notes obviously will emanate. And when contract notes gets emanated, and the next will now be is that the processing and everything, once that is documented, is done, as I even see that the stock is already filled already. And what this has happened now is that if I check my mail, I've been notified of the acquisition. Like I said, the accounting is already tidied up. The journal for this is already intact. If I go to the accounts department now and I raise the journals of today, this transaction is a complete total debit and credit journal already waiting. So by end of market, there's really no special duty for anyone. Rather, people have enough time for reconciliations and the necessary internal compliance checks and what have you and all that. And of course, the other things that could have happened is that if you had an account that maybe wasn't even funded, this acquisition wouldn't have even been possible, because it picks your price, marks it up by a few markup, it picks the ongoing price, marks it up, and makes it impossible that you can ever be in the red after this last transaction. And that's the way it is. And at the point of selling, you are selling out of the volume that you must have, because that's the opposite. There must be stock before you sell on the sell side. So, but just like that clear transaction has just been done, the journals, the contract note, the notification with the customer is totally completed as we speak. And in fact, houses are now growing in terms of hundreds of records, thousands of transactions per day, which is now not managed by man. And this is just the sheer simplicity. Before now, we know how it is. Many people open a couple of customer desk, this Abuja desk, Lagos desk, Benin desk, trying to address these transactions because of the way stockbroking was before. But then that's what we've taken advantage of, and that is not, and this is actually what can possibly happen now. This contract note and my account has been updated, and if I can actually go back to my statement of account, the story will be that my transaction has changed, my statement has changed, and the like. So it's just as simple as this. So if I may just want to go back to my server, okay. If I just want to go back to my server, which I think show be ready now. I can now share that screen back. So on the back office, okay, I can now indicate how I want to log in as myself, and I click on the login. So when it gets in here as the main, this is now the back office. We have the liberty of what images we use and things like that. So at this point, we have the admin area, we have the general ledger area, we have the fixed asset area, we have the bond equity trading area, we have the credit management area. For those who perhaps are into finance, not too many people do this, but quite a lot of people who give loans use the credit management model, as well as placements who use the treasury model. And of course, the fixed trading board here is for staff or brokers who are traders in the house. What I did the other time were customers who could trade. So I'm a client, I can trade. I just did that, and I didn't have to even speak with anybody there. So here is now brokers of the house who trade for the house. They can from here access the same place of the OMS that we just left now. So under the admin, if I could just quickly do an exploration of the admin. The admin area with the explanation I gave the last time is that it's such that you can set up the roles according to how the organization is actually being set up, the departments and the roles and specific functions of people. The application is quite broad, but it may not be that, oh, because I've given you access, you should have access to everything. I can create a role. The first thing is that we respect the roles far more. We create the role, and after creating the role, say here, we have roles permissions where we define the roles, and this is where we do role mapping. We map the role to the specific personnel who should be doing what based on their HR or how they were employed. So role permissions is actually where we actually define the roles that we create. And if I have an option here, for instance, in this tested place, we have accountant, the role of an accountant. So you define the accountant to be able to do and complete everything that the person is able to do. If it is that you have accounts department where you have like the head, you can split these tasks and break the processes and so on. So the administrator, that you are an administrator does not mean that you are a superstar, because that could be risky. Administrator, fine. You should be able to manage the administration model and manage the access of every other user of the application, not the vendor. We actually do not get involved with internal security, but we are here to validate some of them that could be very risky, because when the IT man goes, it is the vendor you want to find. So there are some things that the IT man has to do in association with the technical support team, because as an online thing, we actually one of the cases that we want to know when a new member is joining the online application. He starts it, and we have to do what we call certification. And while we do certification is one, we want to do the initial test. Has this person done a training? Has this person been shown what to do? If he gets into the application, what do we expect of him? Because we need to ensure that you have been routed through appropriate training before you have access to the application. This you can do internally. This you can actually outsource the training of the people to a certification portal. Then we have other compliance. Every other maybe compliance should be that they can see reports but not post anything. So you can actually define any new role. This is just few. In many places it can be much. In places it could be fewer. So that's why I said that the security in one house may not necessarily be the same. You want to recommend for another. It depends on what works for the organization. Well, some people sometimes do what we call maker checker, what is also called dual control. I post a deposit, but then I want somebody else to be able to authorize it. Oops, sorry. I want to have other people be able to authorize it before. Sorry, I have a glitch with my internet now. I hope it comes back. I want to be able to. Okay, I think it's coming back. Okay. I want another person, officer, to authorize that receipt. Or was it a debit note? Was it a payment? It could have been an account opening ordinarily. So there's something we have about dual control, and that education is key. And if that is to be adopted, that is now a management policy. Once you activate that, it means that every client opened will require authorization before it gets into the proper database and all that. So the role, permissions, and the management of what you do here is very simple. Like if I pick on the maybe compliance, if I say, okay, let's say operations. The operations is like the general place. Okay, the operations is like the general place where, everybody in that operation at least should be able to go into this module. You check it, check. Places where you don't need them, like administration. Why? You don't need to check anything. We don't need to give you payroll module. No. General ledger. No. But then places where the operations people are needed as best fit in the organization, those are the things you check. And if you can see bond equity in front of it like this, there are more tasks. This is just like a doorstep. If you click the task, it will expand it further and break down further things. So many things are in that place. And in fact, some of these here can be subtasks. There could be like if you pick maker checker, for instance, which is the dual control, I might say task. If I click on task, it will now cover more on what you want to put in place. That is maker checker. That is, do you want to authorize all account opening? Do you want to authorize orders booked? Do you want to authorize all PVs, all DBs, all receipts, all credit notes, and so on? Even sometimes I want to match one account to another, which can be very risky. We also subject that to some level of approvals, because some other person must know that this is to happen, and it's just for him to be able to go to the appropriate place and is able to do those activities. So this simply summarizes our security, because it can be more, and it's just as you may want to just put it on your diet for what security truly should be. Then the other is the general ledger. Under the general ledger, this totally takes care of anything accounting. Now, even in the accounting, we appreciate the fact that there must be a head. There might be auxiliary or account officers. This is distinguished and, of course, is established by identifying the GL admin, that this is the head of accounts. Things in this place are done by who heads that financial control place. He's the one that can actually authorize things into GL and no other person, except if he delegates. And whoever he delegates to must have the roles. That means that even the admin should be able to know that somebody's role has to be modified for that privilege to be able to happen, for that person to be able to do that. Because when you don't have it and you simply click on some stuff, it tells you, sorry, insufficient privilege, and so on and so forth. So the head of admin is able to do GL authorization and, of course, do end of year closure, which this year companies have been closing their financial year, and it cannot never be any other person less than the head of that unit. And the other accounts area is the GL operation. The account officers, of course, they are free to post their debit, just any general journal. I want to debit one account and to credit one account and what have you. They are front to this, is their daily, and they are free to do this. But then there are some other areas that are auto accounting, like what we call the clear financials. Client financials are all financial transactions that has something to do with the core business model function, which is the stockbroking. Now, a customer deposits money. You must do it through cash deposit here. At this point, they are able to pop up and pick a customer and put the monies to be credited because they deposited money. Then, if it were a dividend warrant, same way. If it is a debit credit note that you want to post, same. Inter-account transfer, that is moving funds from one account to another, same way. Debit note, withdrawal, and so on. And on the withdrawal, you cannot pay from an account that does not have enough fund. That's important because at this screen of payment, you call up the customer's account, the system brings your cleared effects and uncleared effects, if any, and if there's any credit limit being enjoyed by the customer, that is the only reason. If it covers the fund and that's total figure, which is the same figure that the orders management system also uses, and this is why an account can't just be thrown into red. So if you are to pay, you are sure that this person has enough money. If it does not, perhaps it needs a credit limit somewhere, which has to be routed through a top officer who can indicate or rather append such a limit in the account before such a payment can go through. So this is just the way around all that. And of course, they will be able to do reversal. You can reverse any of these transactions using the reference of that transaction for any of these transactions under client financials. But then anything that happens under client financials means that any kobo into a client's account must impact the general ledger's control of that account. So that's that simple. And of course, we now have the reports area where GL report is talking about as many reports. There are so many. Customers request one form of report. Statutorily, we have one form of report, and so on and so forth. So there is actually a long list of reports that's available in here. For all deposits you post, all documents, documents back every transaction. Like if you do a receipt, your corporate receipt is printed from the application. If you do a payment, your payment voucher is generated from the application. So it's not like those days where we have pre-printed receipt booklets, pre-printed payment voucher, and everything is just documented and there's really no extra work again outside the MIS, as it were. That is speaking from the general ledger. This general ledger is most popular by stockbroking firms. The application may be used by other people apart from stockbroking, but then stockbroking is the most populous on the use of CloudIntegra. We also have the fixed asset register, where all the assets of the registers at say end of year has been compiled and updated, and every month end, a routine runs on depreciation and applies those journals on a monthly basis rather than wait till the end of year that we see adjustments are done generally in some places and the likes. That's what the fixed asset area does. Then the broader place again is the bond equity, which covers your entire process of capital markets. Now, this is also that many of these parts have now been automated, that several things when stockbroking started, you get to see them here, but they may no longer be in that same way because automation has actually taken them over. Then under account maintenance, we have various grouping. This is where you do account opening and several other items, account biometrics, several other concession management, intermember updates, account opening requirements, especially when you are doing your, KYC, you need to do some scoring to know which accounts comply, which do not comply. Account maintenance is actually the model that all that happened. All this will be classed under the operations of stockbroking. Then we also have the other class of trade processing. Under trade processing, varieties of methods of picking your trades for processing. Through the OMS, like what we just saw there, there is no special manual involved. But assuming for one reason or the other, the OMS one was not connected and you have to process your trade manually, you have different sources, either you get it from your NGX machine, your XGen machine, sourced it from different sources. CSCS gave you the file. We have different files here. And of course, there are some here that might not even be. In fact, we even have some files for the Ghana Stock Exchange and some other particular ones that were done for certain exchanges, depending on where they are sourcing their trade files from. The popular one being the 10 column, which is what people are very familiar with, especially those who do not have OMS connectivity, and so on. And then you also have something for regular stock harmonization. Stock harmonization is such that when we started FIX, we thought it was actually something that the CSCS and exchange could let FIX document and get the control of stock position. But then it wasn't really so, that we still have to get files of positions to do harmonization, maybe after a year or two, because of a bond allocation or other corporate actions that may have happened, and stock positions may change. And where you are, clients are working online, positions have to be correct. So these are interventions that you need to get some of these files for that to mediate or correct some of those things. Then more, we have the bond, the maker checker officers who actually are responsible for authorizing things. Here they go to authorize created accounts, to approve created orders, to approve payment vouchers, to approve debit notes, to approve receipts, credit notes, and of course, accounts that may have been initiated for merger. It is only when these officers have done this before things get to happen. So you can now imagine that the rule of you bringing in a maker checker, if you do not have the capacity, then too bad, it may not be right. Like we'll be running, we run sessions with our clients once in a while for them to properly understand, because sometimes people have adopted dual control, and they have stopped or suddenly developed bottlenecks because things are not moving any longer. The officer who is supposed to approve when things are being posted is never there, and things now lag. You can imagine posting a deposit. The person wants to buy something today, you're unable to have such executions, and he's unable to trade. He won't be happy. So we need to also balance that kind of laxity with the policies of driving some of these operations. Then OMS mandates where sometimes, OMS mandates where internally you can still book jobbing and all that. Many of these things happen real time, and all these areas are even not very common and popular anymore. Then IPO, where you are having your new issues. You are having companies, Sterling Bank had come and gone, Sterling Bank has come and gone. You have to create your IPO register. post all the offer and writes returns that people have bought, and you also use the system to do your remittance. And of course, you prepare the offer remittance documentation, and of course here you do this to do the actual remittance by the accounts department. And of course, if there's return money, you also have a place where you can manage the return monies. And all reports here were also broken down into reference reports. Where reference reports are talking about some basic data, list of this, list of that, and so many, quite a lot of reports in here. Then customer reports, where we are concentrating on just customers in terms of stock movement, in terms of bonus statements, in terms of certificate listing by clients, complaints, because there's actually a place can document complaints, if any. Then credit limits, like the credit limits, if anybody was granted a credit limit, you can report them. You can actually report, do a report of all such things. And because we actually always recommend the right of the credit limit to be usually with the executives, because I really don't see why any other person wants to just execute a limit without an approval, because what you do there is like granting a loan without interest. That's exactly what it is. It's like saying, oh, please give 10 million into one account. The person can actually today buy 10 million stock when he doesn't even have money. That's the level of risk. But we are interested in seeing or knowing the face. They want to we need a face behind the risk. Is it the accountant? Is it the MD? Somebody just must take that risk and show his face against the risk. So we just need a name against the risk and all that. So customer balances, also different varieties of customer balances, like the recent 3-year inactive balance, where that one is coming in the name of the exchange. That is very recent, and that I think we did as that was to go as at say end of quarter. We are waiting to do this. This was the first time we are reporting this, but then there's a special draft that came from the exchange, and the customers have used this to drive this report directly for those customers who are now become invalid or dormant, which before now stockbroking never had such a feature, but then which is good. Now we also after this have a process of doing a reactivation process, so that customers can now go through the KYC requirements necessary and be able to, begin to do business furthermore. So I think this is just one of the key areas and to drive from the bond equity. Let me just wait for whatever we get from this. But this was just a sample. I'm sure you'll be familiar with that dormant thing, which they just created. It was within that last quarter that this information came up, and we've been able to use this for the last quarter to report this year, and we will be refining it because at the bottom of the report there are about 3 principal officers who must sign. So I'm sure before then we'll now make it possible that they can actually pick the 3 principal officers from their database, and the names will already be in the report, that it is just the signature that they will require, if you are familiar with that. Okay, let me just wait a bit for this. And please, we can also raise, we can raise your questions as I go, please, while I wait for this. Or any other, just observations or something. Hello, sir.
Yes, you can continue, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Oh, sorry. This is one thing running from the code. Sorry, don't mind me. Apologies. I am running from the code, so there are some stoppages here on this. Okay. Okay. I'll just ask you to advance. I didn't look down that there was something buzzing me to. Oh, wait. Don't worry. I don't want to cancel. Okay. Sorry. From the bug, there was a place, when we are testing stuff, we just stop things to affirm things. Okay, one more at 5. Oh, I think that should now have a change over to the crystal report. Okay. Okay, so what this simply does is it goes into your system, qualifying records will be out, and this thing was just shared. If you're, I'm sure you'll be familiar with it. So they have that format that we had to, and this happens from time to time depending on what the regulators want and all that. And this will report same in that same format. And this is what I'm saying now, that these names that is required here will be something between now and the next reporting, because this was the first time we reported. For March, we'll be able to affix the exact names of the principal officers below, and then get that out directly with those names, and just append their signatures. So the reports are also quite enormous and long. Like I said, manual. Download a manual here. You know, if you click a manual, okay, just a manual location if it is there, and of course it will be downloaded on your system. And that's just like every other module also has that. That's for the bond equity. Bond equity really, now the stockbroking now is more with the mechanism of orders management. So a lot actually happened there, and everything settles in the customer's account and vice versa and all that. So the other is the credit and the treasury and payroll. I don't know what interest you may have in these areas too, but this is about general of CloudIntegra, if I may just simply put, and probably just take your comments, sir. Hello, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Maybe I should. Sir, let me quickly confirm. It's for all your reports, do they rely solely on Crystal reports alone, or
the application
tools?
No, the application is driven. The reports, we actually adopt Seagate's Crystal report, yes, and this you can export to any other third party.
Yeah, I understand, but from my own experience, being a developer and a programmer,
excellent, yes.
Crystal reports at some point max out on the number of users, and I don't know, how do you handle, or how have you handled this?
First is that by my experience, we don't even limit license, and we don't have any issue on users on Crystal report. Is that freely available since inception? We don't limit license.
Okay. I think that settles it. So
and because of the compatibility, the work between the Seagate and the Visual Studio and some of the new tools from Microsoft, it still gels very well. Otherwise, it would have been long gone. And because that's I mean, SAP in itself rests solidly. In fact, they even came from here. That's why they had a strong hold using what they
I know there are workarounds. So
yes,
I just wanted to confirm. So,
and there are no limitations, quite frankly, in terms of size of licensing or usage report wise. Yes. Okay,
sir. So my next question will be on we talked about login. Talking about security, but I'll relate it with login for now. So are you saying that if we decide to go with application, we can sync with our Active Directory? Users can log in with Active Directory accounts?
I may not have tried that before. Don't forget, I may not have tried that before. Don't forget that what I mean is that we have a proprietary security that we have actually put in place. And this manages the online channel for the back office, manages the online channel for the web trader, and manages the online, the mobile channel. So it's actually very proprietary. But whether Active Directory, I may not know so well about that.
Okay, no worries, sir.
I mean, and we've not, we have to be where we are. I've had to stop entire product line because of piracy. So I know what this means to me. I know what this means to me.
Okay, sir. So, yes, I think you already answered my next question, which will be on licensing. So for each of these applications that you demo to us, the Fix, the CloudIntegra, and mobile, can they stand alone as separate applications?
First is by the name CloudIntegra. You know, before CloudIntegra, we Christian did CloudIntegra when cloud-based cloud computing became prominent 10 years, 12 years ago. Before then, we were fighting to even match up with the Y2K issues. So originally, product was Integra 2000 plus. And what that simply meant was bringing businesses together. So it wasn't even about them working as standalones. It was about bringing them together and you seeing yourself at a glance. So that was even the goal. And even with CloudIntegra, it's still about bringing them together, and we're seeing the various business that anybody can do on from a central point. And of course, the future is still about that. That central thing can still be, there's quite a lot, you know, now you have a lot of data for different purposes. Quite a lot is now possible in this era of artificial intelligence with your corporate data.
Okay. So another question I would like to ask is migrating data. That's the starting point for an organization that has an existing system. So do you have experience migrating from data from InfoWare to CloudIntegra?
Okay. All right. Let me put it this way. One, we've had that experience before. We've done it before. And even currently, I have two firms. We have two firms that are working on. And in fact, why data migration is very key, because I have some experiences when I had that piracy issue and some of my clients had to leave me, especially APT. I realized that the business that gave them the new vendor were not very particular about them picking the old data. And that is crazy, because I still realize that as APT, having left me like 6, 7 years ago, I still host their original data, which is still costing them a lot. And they have not been able to integrate that data with where they are today. That means they are keeping two systems. And you can imagine old systems and old servers are crashing. So many things that we had to even adopt some hosting for them so that they can still fall back to their past. But then I actually will propose that whatever happens, once you have your data backup, you can have your total records migrated, because it has to just be from inception. If it is not from inception, you almost be keeping 1, 2, 3, 4 systems, and you cannot trust anything anymore the way it is. And that is just what is as important that not even to do anything, your data migration is critical, that data is completely done before even jumping onto a new system. That's even the most of the work that has to be done, whatever it is. Data being available. We just know to do, if we have a backup, you are good, because we'll be able to extract all the things, piece them together, and you'll be able to confirm your position working back. We have 1, 2 cases like that we are doing. I've lost people. I've also taken over systems. I mean, these have been the market experience.
Okay, I think for now that will be all from me. So my other colleagues can go ahead with their questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lamidi.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ajayi, what are your thoughts, sir? Okay, my last question before Mr. Ajayi, apologies. I noticed that you were calling from an IDE Visual Studio, which speaks to being web form. So is it just cloud-based, or we can have a version for on-prem if we decide to go with your firm?
Okay, speaking to the choice of you saying you want to do on-premise, don't forget that even your on-premise is a cloud. Is that not? Yes.
I agree.
Your on-premise is a cloud.
But the difference is,
Yeah.
we'll be managing our data assets. So if it's hosted by Azure or AWS, then our data might be residing somewhere where we might not have full control over.
No, this is it. Okay, let's put it this way. You have the server 100% completely in your premises. Are you with me? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now,
yes, sir. Go ahead,
you
sir.
will actually be you will obviously want to add your internet availability because you may want your customers to access you. Is that not?
Yes, sir.
So this is the same thing. So you are actually a cloud. Even when you are on-premise, you're actually a cloud. It's the way you've chosen to do or chosen to go. Like majority of all my clients right now are being hosted by the exchange on the xCloud infrastructure. Now, they are even having issues with that xCloud infrastructure now for, cost issues and all of that. Because I know for about 2-3 years, those just joining about 2-3 years, I've had to buy their remote systems, remote servers. Once you have your server, our own is just to have access to your server. We don't know we don't care where it is, and we are good. That's why I said, even when you have it on premise, it's also a cloud of some sort.
Okay, thank you, sir.
It's actually e-business that we are talking about here.
Okay, Mr. Ajayi, you can go ahead, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Adiola. And thank you, sir, Mr.
I appreciate
Mr. Amos.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if Mr. Philemon will permit me to go now, or maybe if you have some questions, maybe you can go first. Mr. Philemon, please, can you confirm?
You can go ahead, Mr. J.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Amos Emmanuel, I have some questions for you.
All right, sir.
So first, let me appreciate your time for showcasing your application. It's quite impressive that you're even showing it to us from the source code, which gives us comfort of ownership and control on the application. But then, let me start from the beginning where you spoke about end-of-day GL posting. Okay, so does that mean the customer's statement will not be updated by a transaction that is done during the day until the end of the day? Is that what it means?
Okay. First, I think what you saw was end of year. I think it will be end of year, not end of day per se. The end of day is as automatic as at the last approval, where you have a drawer control active, or as at the last posting where there is no maker checker. The account is updated. Now, the GL authorization actually sifters, let me explain that. We have the general ledger has 2 boxes. One, we have what we call the held journal folder, and we have the posted journal folder. Like everybody, this is about 11:34 as we speak currently. Everybody's transaction of today are currently in the held journal folder. Anywhere active that Integra is operating right now. Now, if you want to do your end of day, that is what we call the daily validation, which is like an authorization of what happens within the day. And that will now change your general ledger. Things in the held journal does not change the general ledger. Things in the general ledger, you can still edit, you can still delete. But once you have authorized, you cannot delete, you cannot edit. This is just the difference. But authorization traditionally is done end of month when people have had enough transactions to reconcile, to checking balances of against external bank documentations. Oh, my GT bank balance is this, my petty cash should be this, and they are validated all of that. And that's when they are doing authorization to getting financial reports that explains or informs them about the position of the last month, this month, or perhaps the last quarter that most of you have put management account against.
Okay, thank you. Let me put an example.
Okay.
So I have 1 million naira in my account at the start of day, and then I purchased some stocks. Let's say I expended 700,000, leaving me with a balance of 300,000. Now, that balance of 300,000, am I going to see it at the end of day, or will I see it the moment I executed a transaction?
First is that at the point of even those executions, your 1 million naira was available to inform those other bookings. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and as you execute and you are getting those things and they all total, whether 2, 3, 4, and we've consummated since what, about 700,000. Your statement of account will clearly today show your opening 1 million, your 3 or 4 or 5 purchase executions as debits, and your outstanding of 300 will also show on your statement of account. Or even if it is
execution.
Oh yeah, even if it is within intra-market, within market is still active right now, for instance. If today you've done the 700,000 OMS, and perhaps you have even booked mandates beyond the 700, but it's only 700 that has hit. But you've done mandates worth, maybe you've had like 700 properly executed as contract notes already in your statement of account. Who knows? Maybe about 150,000 is already pending execution within today. OMS will also value the 150 other unexecuted to show that your OMS balance was the actual executions that were properly executed and consummated, and it will add the pending, because that one can go the split second. It will not and add that cost, so that your OMS will be total executions in terms of those ones formed contract notes, the ones that are still in other stage, and that other balance will be what is outstanding. But as of course, you know, by end of day, if the orders are not executed, OMS will expire them post-market and return you back to your 300, which will be the effect of your statement.
Okay.
But then if you are selling, the opposite, if you were selling, your credits coming, but the statement has the ability to hold because of T+3 and report your uncleared position, stating when it is to clear, your statement of account will be clear on that. Because your stock will be, you have this value, but the credits may not just augment immediately. It will tell you when it will drop, and the T plus whatever days will reflect on the statement of account.
So, and that will show in your ledger balance versus available balance. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay. Yes. The OMS will even speak about uncleared, cleared, and like I mentioned the other time, if there were limits, it will also reflect, because all these are all those components are stated.
Okay, thank you very much. My second question is on lien placement. I'm not sure if that was part of what you showed us, but on lien placement, how does it work on the system? Both lien on stock and probably lien on cash.
Okay. First, what is even common is lien on stock. Now, lien on stock, there is actually an area under position management where one can update for lien on whatever volume of a stock position that somebody may have. It could be on everything or a proportion. So what that simply means that once you have booked your lien, still that's under the account maintenance. That's under account maintenance. So if you have lien booked for a client, it will block that element or that portion of that volume of that stock. So that when you are trading, for instance, if I had 17,000 and I have a lien of about 2,000, it means that the position that I can sell, that the OMS will bring to me, would only be 15,000. Or if it was just
Okay.
2005 or 2000 originally, it means that the lien would just bring a zero. That means it's untradeable. So it's just simply blocked, and that portion will not be available for you to see to trade. And take note, but if you are passing an order to a broker in his trading room outside the OMS, it's almost near impossible to manage such.
That's very clear. I will come back to lien.
Yes, but then
I
the lien
understand what
on
you're saying.
cash, the lien on cash is not very clear because it's not very common that I may have seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it possible to have post no debit on an account?
Okay.
Is it currently available in the system?
When you say post no debit?
Yes. So let's imagine that this customer is owing us. We have bought stocks for him, and maybe he hasn't paid, or he has a bit of cash in his account, or he has sold some stocks equally, and we don't want him to take the money out. That's on the one end. On the other end, it could be regulatory. You understand? The kind of embargo on that account.
Okay,
So is
okay.
it
I call it account caution. I call it account caution placement. You can place a caution on an account.
Okay.
But that is okay, like from the understanding the way you say blocked, it won't be about only debits. It's like you are totally placing a caution. So when anybody picks that account, you may want to know why I can't do so. Very politely, this account is not available for transaction. That's if it has account caution.
So that's even deeper. So what I want is the account can take in money, but money cannot leave that account.
Okay, so that's now a kind of caution that can take money, but no other type. That's true. I think I've learned something now.
Okay, so that is currently not available in the system.
No. Can take money, no.
Okay.
Because once you place a caution, it's simply blank out. Don't do anything yet and say it will tell you the reason. Yes.
The next thing is fee setup, as in commission.
Yes, please.
I'm not sure if I saw that during the walkthrough, but I understand it's introductory demo, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But the fee setup, I just want to understand how it is done. Is it by group that a customer can belong to, or a customer? How is it done in the system?
It's actually open. First is that the statutory markets actually provide fees chargeable. Oh, let me understand, is it in terms of statutory charges or maybe brokerage concessions? These are two ends. Statutory charges.
It is both, actually.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Statutory charges has a plain table, a parameter area. That table is updated based on new guidelines. Look at some confusion recently. Yes, very, very recently. Parameters have been active running up until March, February, March this year. And all of a sudden, the CSCS or the contract stamp was changed without any regulatory information, nothing. Contract stamp changed from 4 Naira to 10 Naira between February and March.
Contract stamp or
contract stamp?
Trade alert.
Trade alert.
Oh, sorry. Contract, that's trade alert. Sorry, please. Yes, was trade alert. Yes, trade alert. Now, what happened? People just ran because the markets, people just don't know because there was no information really. But then a particular house, what is it so special about the house? This house does not joke with balancing his net trading on Integra. What I mean is, I've traded today. If I should check my settlement, my total purchase, my total sales should be equal to what is available end of day from CSCS site. And we're now realizing that for some period, the lady said, I noticed the little difference. Second day, little difference, second day. And I was like, so what we have, when she sent it as a support issue, we have to now send her an information, which we just got verbally. Because I was asking the people to please, if they discussed it, is there anywhere we can see the guideline? But to be frank with you, nobody ever got any guideline. about this discussion, but the change had happened. I'm sure you would you also experienced this season. Now,
Yes.
we now notice that this related back to the fact that the 4 naira had been changed and settlement was coming at 10 naira. So when she gets back and was plugging in 10 naira for her determinations, they now became correct. So we now wrote everybody. That was even when brokers and clients were getting to know there was such a thing in the market. And do you know that shortly after that time, it was removed silently again? No information.
Very correct, sir.
I don't know. So this, from our vendor's point of view, this is because if a part of this change were in the picture, because if somebody's reconciliation settlement one day happens, we have to name it. So we have to now begin to do the correction again because the 10 naira was returned back to 4 naira as we speak, and yet still no documentation. But then I don't know, the market wasn't like this, but it's just tending in this direction as it were. But there's a parameter place. It changes only when we see a guideline of change. Then, speaking to concession, you are free to say that this new client or this old client, we want to charge him this 1.3.5%, we call it rate changes. So rate changes exist for equity, bond, it exists for NASD, and could be for other classes. So we can pick up a client and set the rate changes, and it has an effective date so that the system knows that if the transaction was done from so time, this is the regime of the concession that should determine the brokerage from that account so that customers don't begin to complain for you or feel upset either of being overcharged or something. They will not complain if you are doing better for them. So, but then this is just the idea around that question, sir.
Okay, sir. Now, still on the fees.
Yes.
Is it possible to have separate fees for customers coming from the portal as against customers that we are trading for internally?
Okay,
so what
let's put it this way. That is right now. So let me describe something now. Right now, you can pick any customer and update a fee structure. Charge this for buy. It could be the same for buy and sell or differently. You can do that for a particular customer. So I wanted to know, is it that you're trying to look at like a group of people?
No. So it's something like this.
Yes.
So I'm a customer, right?
Yes.
And anytime I give instructions to the broker to buy or sell for me, the standard of whatever it is they have inputted in the system as a fee or concession, whatever it is, applies.
Yes.
But anytime I go to the portal to trade by myself, for the fact that I'm coming from the portal, can it just recognize a separate concession? Is that
I think this is another interesting dimension. Which means that you are already having this kind of thing. And if that is possible. You know why I say it's possible? Because all transactions done by an owner of a client can be known because we know who the operator is. So if by that alone can inform his concession, one can look at how one can also calibrate that to form a concession principle. That's if he has traded by me. In fact, this is the first time I'm hearing that anyway, but that is possible, it's possible, it's doable, sir.
Okay. So I just want to understand how flexible the system is.
Because I mean, you see, when you say flexibility, it comes by what we take, what we hear, what people want to do. And like I say, we have so much in there, it's just to let us know what you want and it can be tweaked. What you have just said now may not be applicable elsewhere, but that I even have that feature will work for the purpose. That's how we do it.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, just a few more, maybe 2 or 3 more questions.
Yeah.
Let me talk about migration. So my colleague has asked about migration from InfoWare, and you said you did one not too long ago. I want to know how recent is this migration from InfoWare? Yeah.
I think this was some time ago. And even about now, I don't know. Let me put it this way. It's quite some time ago, actually.
Is it up to 3 years, 5 years?
Oh, more than that. Because
10 years.
From the story, I think it's more than that.
Okay. So because my thinking is,
Yeah.
when started in a particular manner, they will also have updated their probably data structure,
Oh, it's
So
not
if you
impossible. Yes. No. Sorry,
yeah,
sir.
exactly.
Sorry, I'm not saying that is a given, but I'm telling you from my experience, if we have a database of data, I mean, I'm a data ambassador. I'm a data surgeon. If I see data, I will be able to spool and extract data. That's actually my profession. I'm just saying
Okay.
that it does not matter what it is because we
Okay.
use the same or common database environment. It's international. So
Okay.
whatever it is, I would always be able to extract. Well, even sometimes when, like I said, I'm losing clients, I will even people to even break things down for people to say this is it. So it's even a given because we know what is basic that any application should be able to get. The most critical is that a customer's balance after migration must remain the same for continuity and history. That is key. And this is the initial test, obviously.
Correct.
That
So
is,
how
and
how
that's why I
long
said
can you estimate how long it will take to migrate data? I know it depends on the volume of data, but just give a very wild guess on how long it will take.
I'm sure
Normally,
intensively for our implementations now for 2 weeks max, we are good with data movement.
2 weeks.
Max, yes.
Okay.
Because
Thank you. I
I mean,
appreciate
by 2
that.
weeks, we'll have had 2 weekends, which is critical, which is the real time for a lot of
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke about a certain security issue that made you lose customers.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, can you tell me a bit about it and how
Okay.
serious was it?
Long story. We started the market way back in 1997. This solution we are seeing here started with, in fact, the time you guys were still having to send certificate deposit forms, all those receipt issue. We actually used Integra 2000 Plus at that time to simplify the process because when in 1997, the Nigerian Stock Exchange had to go buy their exchange solution from FA Software in Canada. I studied FA Software, and what we did was just to simplify what they did for the brokers. And I must say that in 1997 alone, we recorded 19 brokers on Integra 2000 Plus. We already had 19 brokers in the first year in 1997. So it was just not out of place that we were able to make that fit because one, I started from RIMS, I actually powered the RIMS Unit Trust Fund and some other organizations, as it were. And so what we were to do was just very clear. So when it came to the time of fix, fix was the new thing, to be frank with you, and it's a common story. I paid a courtesy, I had to put up a request, a courtesy visit with the exchange. So myself and my development team, we visited the exchange and we had to share a bit of what we know of what they were planning to do. Because on one hand, it's okay for exchange to automate. It was another for brokers like myself who are for software, Yakubo there for AdSoft, and perhaps we even met, there was a more elderly person, Poj, that I also met in RIMS, had done quite some work at the time. And it was important that these people were carried along by the exchange. And that was all I called for. And they actually admitted. So at the time, Bajama was still there, and some newer guys were now came in and all of that. And we had to sign agreement. We did all of that. We had a test. I had to already employ a major person. In fact, I had to get a unique person hired, very, very recommended from the industry to me to head my OMS. Because what is OMS? OMS is just a messaging system. The OMS thing you hear is just a messaging system. Somebody was just on call of that. And there was no education anywhere. We bought training from Fixor, Fixor Pty, an Indian-based company. And we also got some training from one other company from the UK. The two of them, we had training. So we just trained some new staff, at least to power the OMS. So what then happened, when I finished the entire thing, we had the sandbox testing with the exchange, we did all the necessary things, got our certification. And before you know it, when I was to go live, even at the time when Ashon had already calibrated members in the market. This is maybe infoware programmers, this. And you go there, you see almost everybody lining up other programmers. So it wasn't just, so by the time we did all that and we're now to go to markets, the sole staff actually had to just pull out and said he was going to do his master's. And here we were. We just didn't see him until we begin to nose, and all that. We got some information in the market. Some information came from some of our customers that even the exchange, this had, people at the exchange had things to do at the time, because even before Bajomo had to leave the exchange, he invited me to listen to this story. So we had to share with him, and that was when he was even telling me he was about leaving the place, because he was, I didn't know he was eyeing Access Bank at the time, but I shared the story and all that. But then it took me almost 3.5 years to get back to the drawing board. So it was a big story that I had to share this with the story, with the courts, put up a legal issue. It never worked, because in Panti, police was asking me what is the color of the software that they stole, as if I told them I lost a car. So this was comedy. And that was why I knew if I were to pursue, I can't get anything. And what does that stand? The entire product that we did together, we had to scrap. Because if I let it go, it's not even my own problem, it would be all my customers' issue. So we had to stop the entire product line and went back to ground zero. And at that time, I'd filled an agreement with the exchange, listing all my customers, over 100. There was no such in Africa, none. Even my closest was a company called T Computers in Egypt. And we had presented all this, not knowing that that assignment or that agreement was going to kill me if I wasn't careful. And that was exactly what happened.
Because when you call it security issue, I didn't say the security issue.
How do you say?
When you described it as a security issue.
Okay, security in terms of piracy. The grave about it is that I'm into digital service. Sorry, I wasn't born from, I didn't just come in heaven and I became programmers here. It's just like anyone starting a business in Nigeria, for that matter, whose police should even know what I'm doing, only for me to realize that even police doesn't even understand what my pain or my problem was. So I had to just stop the task off, left everybody, forgave everybody. I went back to my plan, and I had to come up with a product.
So I was thinking it was a form of maybe hacking. Or
no, sure. If it is hacking, we are even happy to be hacked. Guess what? If you are not hacked, you don't know what to do next. Sorry. At the moment, I'm actually the Chief Data Officer for Africa IPv6 Cybersecurity Task Force. So it's an interest to even see that you can be hacked. Because if you're not hacked, you don't know what is next. Or you don't even know what to plan for. And things are even getting serious right now. So it's not about being panicky, about being hacked. It is you even knowing that it's possible, and you can actually, please speak with some programmers, you'll be able to tell you 1 or 2 experiences. It's not easy, but then, which you are, of course. And it was just an environmental thing. I wouldn't say environmental, because this also happens everywhere, not about Nigeria alone. That's why, but then we had to manage our business going forward. And the good thing about it is that as programmers, I'd actually imbibed ISO early in my business life. So I think that perhaps also gave me, actually helped me a whole lot, because it was about process. So I had to now get back and refine quite a lot of other things. So right now what I do is not about human beings. It's not so much about so much things. If I can't automate a thing, forget it. It's not about human. And that is the life going forward. And even as we speak, if not that I have juniors, like I said, I shared earlier, offsprings. One of my kids has a PhD, is in Harvard currently. One that's done in Turkey with software, has been running this company now in the last 1.5 years. I'm just supporting. And that rate of change has come and has impacted everybody. That's the kind of vision we have. So we really don't, we're not, we just face our work and face our support. Not even too impressed about new clients, quite frankly, because the last one I have should speak for me, and that is the goal. The current exchange president, Alhaji Kwaranga, today has served him for 28 years. And he speaks about this, and we're all happy. This is the goal.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, let me ask this before going to the next.
Oh, sorry to say that after the crisis was when brokers now know that there was something that has brought us back, and the exchange has admitted, yes, that we are okay. They had to now come back. So all these guys were either, in fact, I have a board here where we have a Nigerian map of all our broker logos and all that. So we're still cherished and happy that majority of them are back after a lot of trials. They bought other solutions before coming back, but we're happy we're here.
All right, sir. Now, API, Application Programming Interface, is it bundled with these applications if we buy it?
You see, APIs are not given. APIs are not, but they are not given. APIs would have a purpose. Like for instance, the application API that I have will serve my mobile app. That is what I'm so sure of. I did that API because I need something to integrate to it, and I have good command and control of what that does. Then the next API that we're working on is something that is to make Securities and Exchange Commission influence automation of regulating the market, which is the auto-comply project, which is what we are doing. So we are putting up APIs for that purpose, to work with Nobis. That's it's a Kenyan company doing that project and all that. So APIs are being targeted towards that area. We just put up APIs for specific and, of course, purposes that we are sure of. That's all.
Okay, so if we need to integrate at our end, are you offering us a kind of leverage to be able to build our own API, or are we going to consult you at a separate cost for that?
Obviously, it has to be a unique service, a unique cost, a unique project. You understand? And
Okay.
why I said this is that APIs don't just stem out of an application. The purpose has to be known. We need to be sure. So I mean, it's just for its abuse and what have you. You know, it's so easy. Everybody does Postman today, but then we know what these things can afford to do now in the era of artificial intelligence. They're quite, like I said, quite a lot is coming up in this market, and the role of API will play a major role, but not just that it will just be there for purposes of probably promoting what could abuse an environment. But then, if we know what the purposes are and well-defined, we put up a proper project towards it, and it forms what we need to work on, and you'll be able to get that targeted for that purpose. So I think this is just the thing. Otherwise, not really had or put myself in a place where I've had to, be doubting integration.
Okay, well, I actually think there should be standard APIs that one can integrate with any other thing one wants to do. So it's not every single thing that we have to, keep building set of APIs for. That's my opinion.
No, but like I said, if you have any of such, and it has to be done, I mean, because first there has to be an effort from the application. APIs don't just, even if you're looking at NIMSI and the rest of them, even some of these government-owned places, there will be basis and reasons for why APIs have been put up there. And you agree with me, are they, even for what some of them are doing, are they okay? Are they having issues? And it's just about the purpose, quite frankly, and it's not impossible. My own is just what is the project discussion, what is exactly what the purpose is. If the purpose is fine and fit, it's not even sometimes about the money, quite frankly, but then, because this is just a platform that we feel that people are being licensed in other places and they use, so that we don't have anybody abuse them.
Thank you very much. Last question, but I have a clarification after my last question. Now, this last question is about, do you have any form of integration with CSCS?
At this moment, not yet.
Account opening, lien placement, not yet.
Yes, not yet.
Okay.
They started the process. They actually started a process sometime and that API was shared. We started that process. We took it up to a point, but I think for some reason, it was just discontinued. Yeah, because that process, I can remember we have some patches right now for that purpose, but then it was just discontinued, and maybe some request or inquiry can further help.
Okay, thank
I
you.
remember they shared some live thing that we used in doing an initial development sometime, and we were just at the point of testing. That was also probably shortly before the pandemic. That was a long time, yeah. But we still have some of that part of the application designed for that purpose.
Okay, it would be nice to revisit it. I think the industry is going in that direction.
Yeah.
So
because the good thing about it is that as you are onboarding, records are already going to them. That was that purpose. That was how that thing was doing. So as we are updating the application is already sending those details right away to CSCS, and the records can be seen and all that. So it wasn't like a double thing that you have to be doing externally. But I know that process, unless if we just have to speak with them again to know what their thoughts and plans are towards it again.
Thank you. Now, on the APT data, you said something about their data is still kept with you after so long. So I'm just wondering, why is that? Is it that they don't have the capacity to extract or translate or what?
Okay, let me put it this way. When businesses, like for instance, we are discussing now, I think it probably makes a faster business sense that we just take opening balances and we continue. You understand? It's more convenient.
Yes.
It's actually more convenient. But to be frank with you, data migration is a lot of work, and quite a lot is required to put in to ensure that history is not missed. This was exactly the thing.
Okay.
And that's not the only one application. I know of another place that also had that issue. I know of other places. Okay, that one, right? And it was difficult for them to migrate data and move on. Because if you now begin to keep, we have also their data for several years that we still keep and whatever. But then in the events where in that case, a director had brought a software, they're already using something else, and that's why they discontinued on this other one. So it's really an issue for the company. Even for me, it's not business. But for me, I rarely even send them invoices. I don't see me offering the service in that direction. It doesn't make sense.
But due to NDPR, don't you think you have an obligation?
Sorry, what do you say?
Due to NDPR, Nigerian Data Protection Policy.
Okay.
Regulation, sorry. Don't you think you have an obligation to them?
Okay, no. It's the house that is consulting that we do that for them so that they can access past, if you understand what I mean. They had servers that had crashed, the IT man had gone, you understand? So Alaji had to make that arrangement, and that is why they can still consult their past.
Okay, that's fine.
No, not like we don't keep data here. Obviously, we don't keep data. As we speak today, by close of business today, you should have your database backup in your storages. How you store them is a different thing altogether. Like somebody's xCloud server has not opened since Friday now. Exchange has not responded, right? Oh, it's okay now. Excellent. Great. It's taking almost 2 days now about 3 days now for the xCloud server to come back alive. But guess what? If we're to implement our disaster recovery role immediately, we'll be asking the IT man to give us the last backup.
All right. Thank you very much. That'll be all from me at this time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, sir.
Okay, sir. I must confess that this session has been very engaging. I've learned one or two things too. But I still have a few questions I would like your opinion on, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. The first thing is I know we didn't look at client onboarding. But I want to believe that your system can also process PFA transactions. they are set up differently from regular transactions.
Okay. For PFA, like in the application, when you onboard customers have classes. One of the classes would have addressed an account as PFA. If that happens, the system knows what to do. Once there are trades that impact such a class, PFA, it knows what to do in computations, total. It knows what to do, and their reporting is also provided. Because the PFAs want to just see what their direct brokerages and everything are. And most of the time, you will also adopt the agreed concessions that you may have. Brokerage, these guys, I understand they don't want to pay too much, usually, but then, but they do volume, as you know, and they are good. But then the system actually processes the PFA. Sometimes if you have the custodians, and I mean, they are unique classes and the system specializes, it knows what to do in each peculiar case. And one more thing is that today, you also have what you call the direct cash settlement customers. Under the cash account maintenance area, there's a place where you can set up and enroll customers updates for all those who are on DCS, direct cash settlement. If you have done so and your trades go process as it is automatically, the accounting is total. It will do all the necessary things, particularly when they are disinvesting. It will bring the credit for the proceed of the sale, and it will automatically net it off because they would have been paid upfront. So credits don't stand in the accounts. Or in some places where you don't do that update, you now begin to pass debit or credit notes mechanically. So you can actually automate that in ensuring that, in fact, if you have customers that you are not sure, you can get a list from CSCS, send it to programmers, and we will automatically update all of them as direct cash settlement if you cannot do it one by one. And that helps you going forward so that you don't have to update the accounts mechanically because you will always sell. And such people, you can imagine, if they are trading online, they will sell today and use the money to buy something else. So if you didn't do the right updates, that can happen. So because many houses are actually having a lot of issues because of direct cash settlement mismanagement.
Okay, that's clear, very clear, sir. I saw your certificate management module, but the details we didn't go into.
Okay, the certificate management is just that was the area I mentioned that those areas are rarely in use anymore. Script receipts are rarely being produced, and so on. The process of updating script receipts, going for verification, updating that for verified, and it moves to jobbing book and all of that. So this is not all those processes and cycle are almost moribund somehow. That completely they are still there, and you can still do it and print the script receipts to show that you are now in possession of going to verify things. And if you care, the CDF still being prepared and all that. And all those things are still there, but like I said, they're not very commonly used any longer in many places.
Oh, okay. But what I wanted to even ask in particular was for that module, when you dematerialize, does it impact the customer portfolio stock balance?
Automatically, that's what it means. Even before now, that cycle, it does script receipt. From script receipt, with you update for going for verification, that would appear on the certificate deposit form. The process was that when things now come back verified, and you're able to see verification on the CSCS portal, you can copy the screen of that CSCS portal and do a swipe on the application. We call it water drops. When you do that water drops swipe, it will match what you copy from CSCS with the script receipt item that you sent for verification and automatically update them as verified. And for all those stocks, they will appear in their jobbing book and the customers will be able to see them to trade. That was a complete process that way, yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay, how about public offers? Can your system process?
Yeah, we have a
public
complete
offers?
module. We have a complete module, like I shared under the bond equity, that handles public offer. For every new issue, you open the register. Who are the issuing houses? When is the offer starting from? To what time? What is the offer cost? And all that, whether public offer or rights, the offer exists. Now, people are now beginning to buy. The accounts are getting money. They are updating the accounts of those who are paid to buy this, to buy that. Now, the operations will now call them up and begin to debit for what they are buying. So unit of sterling at this rate. So unit of this. And when it's time for remittance, you also have a document that you can print, that you can share with the issuing house in that same format. So that document is what carries all the people who have deposited money for that offer. And the accounts department can now use the offer remittance. At that point is when it clears your offer liability account and of course, and credits the bank that you're using to fund it. You can do partial payments, or if it was just one time, you can do it. If you do partial, the outstanding money will remain and can go back there and complete, depending on how many times or tranches that you're making the payment. But eventually, you complete your transfers and the journals will also be in the GL.
Okay. I also suppose that the end result is that the stocks will also impact the stock position, balance of the client.
Excellent, yes. But there's a house that they were not using that module. This custom, in fact, that was exactly what caused it. Because when they now noticed that offers completed and stock position was not reflecting, so I now have to call in, what have they been doing? You know, the accounts department has been setting up on the general ledger, posting debit and credits, manipulating it from the general ledger, not impacting customers' accounts. And that was why they missed it. And since then, we had to take that off them, because if you begin to create an offer register every time it comes up on your GL, it will make your chart of account become messy. It will become very messy. So you keep your GL registers and customers where they are, and you manage that. And now things are syncing properly. And as you buy, don't forget that even sometimes when these things are returned, it will return and your stock position will be updated and your cash will be back to your account where you have return money instances.
Okay, sir.
I mean, these are very old practices that we still have currently, but it's just that recently we hear the exchange is automating something. They have one register. Some houses, brokers feel they are taking over the business, because before now, I can remember a client in Jos, First Bank offers of many years ago. Man, you see customers lining up in front of that house and they will buy. But that offer was like the biggest I've ever seen. So, but then that kind of a thing, because they can now buy online, they now feel that the exchange is even taking the business of them when such new issues crop up.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Something you also mentioned during your presentation about stock reconciliation. I don't know the exact word you used.
Harmonization.
Harmonization. But we discovered that increasingly these days the data we get from the CSCS, that stock balances, usually have errors. So uploading it automatically we put the client's accounts in with issues.
You are very correct. Funny enough, this what you just mentioned now is something that I was seeing it for the first time last month. Yes, NBC. We got a trade file, and you see, if not that I myself, I have an account, I wouldn't have quickly noted that there was a problem, because we went back to the systems thinking it was the system that was wrong, only to confirm that position that we got. Because after the exercise, we always want to confirm what we have done vis-a-vis the file that came from CSCS. So we now realize we were correct, but customers were complaining there in NBC. I was like, what happened? Even for me, a stock that I've sold was still there. I was happy. I was still happy with it. Until, quite frankly, was it not just last week? They said there was another one? Yeah. So until they admitted and they were not sending us a new one. So we now scrapped that and now reprocessed. And even now we are doing the NASD too. And I don't think I've had any complaints since then. So I never knew that can come wrong, quite frankly. Because we've been doing this many times.
Wow.
I don't know.
It has perhaps maybe the client just didn't notice. It has
Okay,
always
take for
been there
instance,
for
like a new client that I'm taking to install now. These are the kind of data we get. We demand that they get from CSCS. So we will always believe they are correct.
Okay, sir. So what we discovered is with those errors, we cannot do the automatic harmonization. We have to
why?
resort
Because
to manual.
why we do no. If you get the file again, they can get they can give you the corrected thing, because they themselves may not know. I don't know, it could be that they are giving you a position as at a date that is not the date that they tell you that it was. I think this is what must have happened. Because even when we get the file, we see the dates that they gave us. I have to do some mathematics of clearing before I even process. We have to make sure that if I get it as at 30th of April, I'll walk back T minus 1, move data out, finish my processing, return data. So it takes some understanding to be able to do that, and otherwise you fail. So when you do that and they say it's still not correct, then something must just be wrong from the source, because we spend time looking for what could be wrong until they now confirm yes, why it was wrong. So this thing you are saying is very correct, and I was seeing it for the first time this year.
So you don't have a manual way of doing that harmonization?
No, there's manual option, but how many manual do you want to do? When records I'm talking about will be in thousands. I mean, like in this case, it was almost 64,000 lines.
Okay.
So, but which means that you truly need a correct copy. You only do manual like, for instance, maybe a few balance was just discovered that there was a new bonus updated and the bonus is not available. You can just adjust, because there's a place you can update. You can actually update anybody's position upwards or downwards. It's an adjustment. Yes.
And in a batch too.
No. Even from the application directly.
Can do batch upload for like bonuses.
Oh, for bonus, of course. Now,
corporate actions.
Look at it. Why can't CSCS give you your bonus record? You understand what I'm saying? But then if you, I think CSCS at the point says that you can, but you have to pay because it's like a premium service. But if you can get that, of course, we can upload a bonus file, which will just go, we don't need to do any harmonization. To just update everybody that has that stock based on the date of declaration. Because if that date of declaration is not correct, your weighted average cost pricing will not be correct.
True. Okay, sir. Another question I have, sir, is by regulation we are to do these monthly renditions to clients in terms of their portfolio balances and maybe the valuation. I believe that's available on the system, sir.
Valuation report is the default, yes. Valuation statements, stock movements, and anything. And of course, with daily price in there, your valuation is up to date.
Okay, sir. I had another question I took down. Okay, so we have clients who have multiple CSS accounts. So I'm wondering how this is profiled on your system. Is it that the clients will have multiple accounts on the system, or they can have one account with all the CSS accounts mapped to that profile?
They will have multiple accounts for the CSS numbers.
Multiple accounts. Okay.
Sorry, I think because of the rains here, my light has just gone now. My battery says it's running low. Wow.
Oh.
Hello, Moses. Any option? Can I be on the inverter? Please. It says, because it could go up, please. The inverter is still on. Please, I'm going to change it.
Okay. I had a colleague who was supposed to be here, but he wasn't able to join. We're also looking at if the system has an asset management module.